Welcome to Quilling It, where authors spill the ink on writing, publishing, and promoting your book in today's market.
Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Paul Regner.
And I'm Lindsay Franklin.
And today we are talking about negative feedback and how to deal with it.
Yeah. Everybody's
one-star
favorite
review. I'm so happy that person hated my book. So it's not just reviews though, right? Book reviews are kind of like the first place my mind goes, but like what else are we talking about?
Well, I think that's kind of like on the other end of the spectrum when you are, or the journey, I should say, when you are on submission as an author. So on the traditional side, you think that the rejection kind of ends when you land an agent or when you sign a publishing contract. Like, okay, we're done with rejection now. And no.
Right. Just glowing
Spoiler.
reviews from this point forward.
Yeah, no, the rejection keeps on coming and it can come in a lot of different forms. And one of those is, of course, the 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews, or just people saying negative things. Sometimes it's not even in your official reviews, it's just in chatter that you might see about your work online and just people talking about you. So that all right. See, I have to reframe. I'm going to stop myself right there and say, not talking about you, talking about your work, because those are two different things. But I think I've kind of
important distinction. That's
it's
good.
an important distinction. And I think I have just revealed accidentally revealed one of the things that authors really need to focus on to be able to handle this well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us, maybe most of us, are that kind of sensitive artist type personality where maybe handling critical feedback is not necessarily something built in to our personalities, something that we handle well naturally. I mean, is that true for you? Do you feel like were you one of those people who just, hey, no matter what you say about me, it's fine. I don't care. It's none of my business. I am confident in who I am and what I do. Yay.
Yeah, that's right. Bring it. Bring it. No, I'm just kidding. I wish I was that like steel skinned. I would say like when I was younger, I was way more like shy and sensitive about things like that. And I took what people said a lot more to heart. As I've gotten older, a lot of that just kind of has lessened in a healthy degree, I would say. Whereas, and I think part of that is just, this might sound bad, but just not caring. Like, I don't care what you think, sort of thing. But I think that's important for any artist to get to a point where they can say, because putting your art out there, it does take courage and just a willingness to accept negative feedback. And if you're afraid of that, it really hinders you from expressing yourself to the fullest extent, which you should, because like if writing is a calling, or any artist, whatever your calling or gifting is, not being able to express yourself is like such a shame for everyone, because then like other people don't get to appreciate and enjoy your unique perspective, because everyone is unique, every writer is unique, and to not have your distinct voice in there, that stinks for everybody, not just you. So being able to kind of move past that and just share yourself like as fully and truthfully as you can is awesome. Like that's the best place I think you can get to as an author. And like a lot of times people talk about your voice, right? Like if you've written for a while, they always talk about like, oh, this author's voice, I love their voice. And when I first started, I'm like, voice, what the heck are you talking about? It's words, they're not talking. But it's just like it's that style, it's that thing that makes them kind of unique, where you'd pick up a book and you read and you'd be like, oh, this seems like J.K. Rowling or whoever, so to be able to be okay with people not liking your work, because not everyone likes even the best stuff. Like I think I was telling you before we were talking, and I was saying like The Hobbit was like such a huge impact for me. I read it as a junior higher and I thought this is like one of the greatest books ever. And
Love
then
that book.
like I think I was talking to someone years later and like, oh, that book's so boring. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? That was like the greatest book. But like you hear stuff like that and you realize, like even Tolkien can't please everybody. Like even he has haters piling on, and it's just there's no avoiding it. And you just kind of have to be okay with like, you know what, not everyone's gonna, it's not, yeah, especially as you get in your distinct style, not everyone's gonna resonate with that. Think of any favorite book or favorite movie you have. It's not going to please everyone. Some people are just going to go like, "Oh yeah, I just like started reading and then put it down," and it just like drives you crazy. You're like, "You don't get it." Right? But then that could be you too. Some people just don't get you, and that's okay. That's how I look at it anyways.
Absolutely. I think that that's all very wise. It's true. We need to have a perspective like that because this is part of it. This is part of being an artist. It's part of being in this industry. And if you want your work to be consumed by other people, if you want your words to be read, they're going to have an opinion about what they read. And it might be a positive one, it might be a negative one. You might not be for that particular person, and you have to be willing to accept that. And, dare I say, embrace it? That's hard. I don't know if I'm ever going to be some people. I am in awe of the authors who are like, yes, I love my 1 stars. That legitimizes me like as an artist. It legitimizes me as an author because it means and it truly does mean that your work is reaching beyond your personal sphere. Right. So if you release a book and you have 5 reviews on Amazon and every single person who has reviewed that book, like you know all of those people, they know you might have a 5-star average there, but that book is staying really tight in your own personal sphere with people who know you, they love you, they support you. They already know that you are for them, right? Like if it's your friends, your family, they already know that they like you. They like
Yeah.
what you have to say. So when you do get those 1 and 2-star reviews, or even those 3-star reviews, sometimes those hurt the worst for me, where they're just meh. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not that they hated it or they loved it. It was just, okay, that's a thing I read. I'm like, oh, that hurts. Uh,
Yeah, you
but
don't want that comment that says mediocre. You're just like,
right.
oh.
Yeah, C plus. Oh no. Or D plus, even worse. Yeah. Ooh. But it does mean that your book is getting out there. It's reaching beyond your sphere. It's reaching readers who don't have a personal stake in whether or not they're going to hurt your feelings. And
Right.
so that it is a good thing. It is good. But
And don't
I'm
they
never
always
going
say
to.
that's kind of like the author milestone? Like, hey, I got my first 1-star review. I'm
Yes.
like, I've arrived. I'm an
Yes.
authentic author.
I'm real now. I'm real.
I'm a
Yes.
real boy. Um, didn't they? I heard something too that said something about statistics or something that if your reviews are all like glowing 5 stars, people that may not know you or they're checking out your book, they might look at that as suspicious anyways. They're like, wait a
Yes.
second, no negative reviews? Are you kidding me? So like even to have some of those in the mix, I think can even further legitimize like how your book looks like, oh yeah, okay, there's people on both sides. As long as hopefully you get more on the positive side, right?
Yes.
You don't want
Yes.
like a full palette of 1-star reviews. But yeah, I think it can be good. And you might not want to read them. You might not want to read, but just to see like, okay, there's a 1-star. I'm not going to read it, but okay, it's there, whatever.
It's there. I'm a
Yeah.
real boy, and yay. Okay. It's good. Yeah. No, it definitely does. It shows that there are people out there reading your book. These are not, paid reviewers or just that hand selected. Like a street team is not a bad thing to have. I love my street team. We
Mm.
should do a whole episode just on street teams. But
Yep.
yes, absolutely. So those early readers who get access to your book, your arcs, and they are going to get out there on release day and be posting reviews on Amazon. Before release day, they might be posting reviews on Goodreads, and those are going to trend way more positively, and that's okay. The reason that happens is because you have put out a call to your street team or your ARC team or however you're doing it, like, hey, do you want to help me launch this book? And it's self-filtering, self-selecting, right? The people who are going to say, yes, I'm going to click that link and fill out that form are lots of times people who are either already fans of your work, or they are at least interested in you and what you have said your work is, like if they just know you from social. So it's self-selecting for people who are already interested parties in a way that somebody just buying your book at a retailer doesn't necessarily have that connection. So of course your reviews with your early readers are going to trend more positively than they will over time. So that is not what I mean when I say kind of these illegitimate paid reviews where it's like
Right.
you are just paying people to give you those glowing five-star reviews. That
Right.
that does look suspicious. And if you don't have any other, if there's no even 4 stars or threes or twos or ones, then consumers do look at that and go, because it doesn't look real.
Right. And that launch team, that ARC team, that's kind of like the suit of armor you put on before battle, right?
Yes.
Because you're not just going to run out like some berserker, and just like, I've got my club and that's it. And my loincloth and that's all. Because you'll
Don't
get
do that.
rocked. Yeah. But if you have that foundation, right? Especially like on launch day or launch week, you get some like a good foundation of like mostly positive reviews. When the negative ones do come in, you've kind of got that nice cushion, right? To kind of
Yep.
keep you floating up towards like a more higher mark. So that's a good way to counter some of that, to have
Mhm.
that launch team, ARC team in place on launch day and launch week. And then it's like those 1 stars won't, or 2 stars won't hurt as much, right? It'll just be like, oh, okay. Yeah. I've got a cushion in place. I'm good. I can take it.
Yes. And now I'm a real boy and all is well. This book is doing its thing. Yeah. So
This is
it's
turning
definitely a
into a
good,
Pinocchio theme here.
perfect. Yes. It's definitely a good strategy.
So before we get to like, because you mentioned some other stuff as far as negativity, like this is when your book launches, right? We're talking about book reviews, but like maybe early on, it might be good to be prepared for those when you're trying to submit to, like, let's say you're going to the traditional route and you're submitting to agents and publishers, and maybe they'll come back with feedback that says, nope, not for us, or like, or they won't even respond at all. It's like crickets, which might even be worse. So you're in the traditional publishing industry. And so maybe you can give an inside scoop on like why not to take that so harshly or so personally.
Yes, there, and I think that this is something you have mentioned in other episodes where there are myriad reasons why a publisher says no or an agent says no. And is it about the quality of the writing? Sometimes. Sometimes it is. And the best kind of rejection to get from an agent or a publisher is when they tell you why. When they tell you why and they say something like, the writing isn't quite there. That's actually really helpful feedback. And even though it is negative feedback, it's critical feedback in a way, you can do something with that, right? You can take that note and go learn more about craft. You can go polish up your writing more. You can take some classes, you can read some books, you can, go to conferences, sit in workshops, maybe hire a mentor or a freelance editor or whatever. There are so many different things you can do to help brush up your craft. But that is by far not the only reason why an agent or an editor would reject a manuscript. And oftentimes it is because we have something similar that is releasing soon, or even if it's not soon, just something that has already been done. We, like at Enclave, just last week, Sarah Ella's Cinderella retelling released last Tuesday. Awesome. Super cool. Like, and so on brand for her. Beautiful, sparkly, wonderful book. That is not to say we will never ever publish another Cinderella retelling. It's a really popular, story. But if somebody comes to us with a really direct, obvious Cinderella retelling right now,
Yeah. It'd be hard at this point to publish that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just kind of setting that author up. It's actually a favor to you as the author if the publisher rejects it because they have something similar, because you are just setting that second author up to fail in a way when the
Right.
publisher has already put their sort of, marketing juice behind the first author to do it. And now you're just kind of like the second go at it. It's not the
Right.
best thing. It would be better to be like the Cinderella retelling at a different house where they're putting all of their Cinderella marketing oomph behind you,
Yeah.
and you're not having to kind of share that space with somebody else. So that is a very common reason why manuscripts are rejected at publishers,
Yeah.
particularly.
And I would think, like, going back to my suit of armor analogy, if you are going to send your book out to a publisher or an agent or something like that, it might be a good step initially to go through an editor who can like clean it up, or even give you that first round, sort of that developmental feedback, which is like the big picture feedback, like, oh, here's my comments on your overall plot, or this character is a little weak, or you can strengthen this character even more, or the theme is a little muddy, whatever they say. That's something you can sort of, like a preliminary kind of, I'm not thinking of the word. What am I thinking of? Preemptive. Thank you.
Mhm.
Preemptive. I helped myself. My brain recalled a preemptive strike against a negative feedback, because you are building this suit of armor around your story so that when you submit it, it's that much stronger to resist the slings and arrows of the publishing house. Ooh, look at that. It all came together nicely. A little fumbly in the middle, but it all ended up okay. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you prep it as much as you can. You make it as strong as you
Yes.
can. And that's hard for maybe people that are a little more impatient, like I am, and you just want, oh no, no, it's done. It's ready to go. I want to see. You kind of want to do your due diligence and maybe even get it edited. And I know, but that's weird, right? Because you think, no, 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 an editor is what the publisher provides. So I'm not
Yeah.
saying go through that whole, because you're going to do several rounds of editing, right?
Yes.
So maybe
Yes.
at least that, um, a development or just a manuscript critique, something,
Mhm.
or at the very least, some people around you that will be honest with you. And this is where I might recommend being a part of a critique group, a writer's critique group, and getting feedback from other writers and just hearing what they say, and kind of like, polishing up your story that way with their feedback. These are all things you can do to prepare and prevent from a truly negative reaction once you put it out there to be judged.
Right, and there's kind of 2 sides to that as well. There's sort of 2 reasons to do that, and beta readers are great for this as well, especially if you are an author who has published other things already and you kind of have readers out there already. Even if they're not fellow authors, sometimes that reader feedback is extremely helpful,
Hmm.
too. So it kinda depends on where you are in your journey, but there are 2 reasons to do this, 2 ways this kind of arms us. The first is that it makes sure that your manuscript is going to be as good as it possibly can be before you submit it, and so that gives you a better chance of not receiving the rejection in the first place. But there's a second half of this, and that is when you have had other people look at your work. They've given you some critical, constructive feedback that you've taken, you've applied it, you've strengthened the manuscript. The more of that you do, the more solid and secure that you're going to feel in where the story is at. You put in the work, other people have looked at it, they have liked it, they've said it's good. Like, it builds up that confidence a little bit where
Hmm.
it is easier to not take it personally if you do get
Hmm.
that rejection, and to really believe it. Because that's the other thing is, sometimes I see this a lot in amongst my author friends, especially with those of us who are maybe on the more sensitive side, where we might even get that reason from, a publisher or an agent or whoever, where they tell us why they're rejecting it, but we don't believe them. We believe that, they are just being nice when they say that, it's not what we're looking for at this time, or it's not really on brand for us. That's another reason publishers might reject a manuscript, is if it just doesn't fit into what they are publishing at this moment,
Mhm.
not on brand for them. And sometimes authors still hear your book is terrible when these kinds of
Mm.
reasons are given. And so when you have that kind of reaction to a business decision, that is a signal to you that there is a little bit of emotional work that needs to be done on your part as
Mm.
the author, as the writer, that, I maybe need to get to a place, so like get into a better headspace with my work and where I'm at with that. And really hearing what people are saying when they do reject you or give you that criticism, as to why they are not saying yes, or why they are, not five-starring your your book or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's a two-way street. Sometimes we are the problem. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's so funny because I'm trying to think of this. It's a little different from the indie publishing route that I'm in, because I don't I don't have to submit it to anybody. Like, I don't have an agent or a publisher to go through. It's kind of like it goes live when I say it goes live, right?
Yep.
When I think it's
Yeah.
ready. Which is weird, like, now that we're talking about all these, maybe not insecurities, but all these doubts we have, I think is a better word.
Mhm.
Because every writer has doubts. I don't care how confident you are in your style or whatever. We all have doubts. And it could even be like, oh man, my last book did really good. Is this one going to measure up? Or am I going now on the downhill? And everyone's going to go like, oh, I liked his first book, but boy, this one sucks. He lost his touch, right? Like anything
Yep.
we think that might, I mean, it's just inevitable. Um, but it is interesting, guy. I'm trying to think why I'm okay with it now, because I didn't used to be, especially when I was first starting. And I think I told you the story just when we were talking before the podcast. Was when I first started, I had I'd had some jobs that built up a little bit more of a thicker skin than when I was a kid. But then when I started publishing, when I put out my first book, and like I got a little bit of negativity on it, it hit me like way harder than I thought it would. And because I had built up a thick skin for a lot of other things, but I didn't realize writing was like a lot more personal to me. It was this thing I had that I thought, oh, I kind of got this cool little thing that I do. I write stories and people generally like them. But now I'm competing in, the big leagues, and now it's like the critiques get a little harsher, and then it's like, ooh, boy, that hits really hard. So that was something I had to kind of get over initially. It's gotten a lot better. So yeah, I will say, like, if you are, that is something you can like build up. You can build up a thicker skin, and that's good. And I think it's healthy to be able to do that. And there's a lot of good ways you can do that. I'm trying to think, like, friends, family, critique groups. When you meet other authors, they can kind of say like, "Oh no, don't worry about that. Like, everyone gets that, and that comment they made doesn't even make sense," or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Or they could say like, well, maybe there's some validity to it, maybe not as negative as they're saying, but like, yeah, if you change this, which is why editing is so great beforehand, right? An editor can catch all those things that might be critiqued, and
Right.
again, like, prepare you to avoid those kind of things. But yeah, I think again, it's just something you build up over time, and then you just sort of become confident in your own style and your own work, so that when you put it out there, you're just like, yeah, all right, whatever. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Maybe you're just not my audience. Yeah. So
I think reframing is really important, especially if you are kind of the overachiever type, which a lot of us were in school. A lot of people who, grow up to become writers were kind of on that overachiever side of the fence in school. And I think it's important to reframe and realize that when you are creating art, which is extremely subjective, there
yes.
there are the kind of objective mechanics of it, with good writing when it comes to craft and like how maybe even how we structure a story, although that's also not set in stone. So there's a lot that is fluid about it, a lot that is subjective, a lot that is a matter of opinion and style and trends and
Yes.
just
Oh,
all
man.
kinds of
I feel like
so
we
many
should have
different
mentioned that
things.
first thing. We buried the lead. That's a really important point that we left out.
It is like extremely subjective. And if you're in this mindset where if I do it
Right.
correctly, then I'm
Right.
going to get an A. I'm going to get the 5-star review.
Ah,
The 5 stars, it's like an A. And I even used that language when we were kind of joking about this, about the 3-star being a C or something. You can tell where my head is at with this,
wait,
right?
hold on. This is interesting. Were you an A student?
Maybe. Maybe. It's yes. Okay.
You
I was.
tried to be. Okay.
I
Okay,
did.
that's funny because I wasn't.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's easier for me to just kinda
Maybe.
shake it off or whatever. So
My
you're
goodness.
okay, so you were an A student, overachiever, and I wasn't. I was happy with being B, like skating through on a B. I'm like, "Hey, as long as I graduate, I'm good." I just
It's my husband.
really?
My
Yeah, that's
husband,
funny.
he's like super smart, capable dude, kind of like good at pretty much everything. Like he just walks into a room and he's just good at whatever he tries to do. It's really obnoxious. But so he was like into sports and into music and into all these different things in school. But and when we met when we were teenagers, and I'm looking at him going, "You could be a straight A student," and he's like, "Meh."
Mm,
I'm going, why? Why would you not go for the A plus? If you are capable of the A plus, why would you
because
not go for
there's
it? And
bigger
he's
things
just
in
like,
life.
right? There's other stuff he doesn't care.
Now, see, I think that goes back to exactly what you're talking about. It's the subjectivity of it. When I was in high school, I hated it, and college. I didn't like college either, even though I graduated from both. I gritted my teeth all the way through because I thought it was so boring. Like most of it was so boring to me, and then I realized like that there was a large part of it too that was subjective, right?
Mhm.
Grades. There was like maybe if you're in physics and you get or math and you get the answer wrong, that's a little more
Sure,
objective. But
sure.
other things, I saw there was a subjectivity to it. And so I guess over time I just thought like, man, this is just kind of like a little bit of a game that I'm playing here and I can't wait to get out of here and do what I really want to do, right?
Mhm.
So
The
maybe
real
so that was
world.
a part of it
Yeah.
for me that, I don't know, maybe you didn't like because it sounds like you almost took it as like, "This is objective truth. If I get this A, that is objectively true that I am awesome," or something, right?
Yes. I mean, yes. And
Where
so
I looked at it as the teacher's opinion, so that
right, right. And that was absolutely not the way I was framing it at the time. And I say I was an A student, which is true. I was a high performing student, but I also had undiagnosed ADHD
Ah,
my whole life. But at the same time, I was very achievement motivated. And so what I did was I built for myself systems of, okay, this is what the system is. This is how we succeed in this system. And so I'm going to build myself the supports that I need in order to achieve the goal.
wow,
That
that sounds
was
like so much work.
it was. I was exhausted. I had a mental breakdown in high school. That also happened. I wonder why, but yeah,
Lindsay,
we're
it's so
just
much easier just to go, "You know what? I don't care."
man, I should have tried that. Yes, I've gotten to a much better place with these things through
Okay,
my
that's
career
good.
in publishing. Yeah, where because you can't be that way. You cannot be that
Right.
way in publishing. Like you will constantly be having breakdowns and
Mm,
burnouts and
mhm,
but I am still at my core built the way I'm built, right? Like my
mhm,
personality is what it is. And so
right.
it's not that I've fundamentally changed who I am at my core. It's building up those skills and kind of developing techniques and ways to think about things in a healthier way, process things in a healthier way. So that's why I use the word reframing, where it's like, reframe. This is not a letter grade in school that you're getting. This is, somebody's opinion about a piece of art that you created. And art
Yeah.
is so subjective. So if you feel solid, like you have put the skills in, or the skills in, the time into developing your skills, that's what I'm trying to say, then, and you can stand by your work, then it's good enough. Period.
Yeah.
Period. So it's there's a lot of, reframing and reprocessing that happens for me in order to be okay in this industry that does constantly throw criticism at you.
Right.
And at any given time, you could throw out a publishing benchmark. And I don't care how successful you are or how well you're doing, we could throw out a benchmark where every author in the room is going to go, oh, yep, I'm a failure at that thing,
Sure.
even if somebody is selling a bazillion copies and you could just say, okay, well, when is the movie happening? And then everybody in the room is like, oh, well, yeah, I don't have a movie deal, so there's always like some bigger, better, shinier thing that we could be achieving in publishing. And so if you are achievement oriented like I am, you
Mm,
really have to like get outside of that hamster wheel, because
right.
that is the way to madness, is staying on that hamster wheel. You will constantly feel like a failure if you're caught in that kind of mindset. So
And I think that when I first started joining critique groups, one of the things I saw was like how different authors are really great at different things. Like no one is perfect at everything, unless maybe you're C.S. Lewis or something. But like, because he could write philosophy, theology, fiction, hard science fiction, children's fantasy. It's like crazy.
he was
But,
pretty cool.
aside from a few exceptions. Um, but like I remember like I would read someone's work and I would say, "Oh my gosh, their descriptions are so vivid
Mm,
and so like it's almost like poetry, you know."
yeah.
But then maybe their dialogue was a little stiff or something like that. And then you go to someone else and like, "Oh, their action scenes are crazy. You feel like you're right there." But then like the downtime scenes are kind of like they lag a little or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many different elements and you could critique anybody like on their weaknesses and just ignore their strengths, so it kind of depends. And here's one other thing that's kind of important to realize. This is something I found out. Some of the harshest critics, they don't create, they just
Mm,
critique. So
mhm.
they've found their little thing that like, "Ooh, cool, I'm a critic, I'm gonna be real hard." But like I found the more people actually are creators and they put stuff out, they develop a little more of a sympathetic like understanding of, "Oh my gosh, this is really hard to do this well." Like I was being so unfairly critical on people before I started doing it and realized how difficult it was, to do this stuff. I mean, even when you first start, like when I first started writing, I thought like, oh yeah, I've watched a ton of movies, I've read a bunch of books, I know story, like I could do this, like, and I'd be like, oh, that movie sucked, I could do way better. And then you try it, and you're like, okay, wow, they actually did pretty good with that. Like, I don't even know if I
This
could,
is hard.
I don't even know if I could suck. I'm not even that good. So it's right. So I think
Yeah.
I think there's an element there too. You kind of have to be careful of the the critics you're listening to. Like, is
Mhm.
that really someone that knows, that understands like the art, or do they just kind of, because some people just have fun being snarky or mean or whatever it is, and that's just their thing. Like, oh, this is fun to tear something down, and like you
Right.
have to realize that it might not be like, well, not might not be like isn't accurate. It's just like someone like having fun at your expense, I guess. So, anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, just another thought.
Definitely there's certainly, I don't even wanna say trolls. I almost said trolls, but it's not that. I think that it is this idea that there is an objective good and bad when it
Right.
comes to story or storytelling. And, as we said before, there are some objective measures like in craft or in,
Sure.
the mechanics of writing. There are certain things that are,
A
right and wrong.
typo is a typo,
A
right?
typo is a typo. Exactly. Bad grammar is bad grammar.
Right.
But, unclear writing is unclear writing. Like there are certainly some measures that are objective, but I think sometimes as readers and even as writers who are maybe in the earlier stages of their journey, I have found can be really harsh critics
Mhm.
unintentionally because they have like a little bit of knowledge of the
Mhm.
behind the scenes where they're learning about the architecture of story and they're learning about the mechanics and the behind the scenes stuff. And so they're feeling like they do have a window in and, oh, I could do this better. Is there's a
Mhm.
little bit of that, that thinking still. And it may be true, honestly, maybe true. Maybe you could have written my book better than I did. That is always a possibility. But but there is just so much more to it, I think, than people realize when they are either not a creator or in the very early stages of their own journey. It's not an objective right or wrong issue. There's style, there's voice, there are a lot of choices that are made, and there are reasons why we as creators make the choices that we make, and you as a creator may have made a different choice, and that's okay. Both
Right.
of those options are okay to do. There is no right or wrong, and it is also okay if you as the reader do not vibe with the choices that I made. That's cool. That's okay, and you are free to 2-star me on Amazon. Okay, I'm going to say it. You are free to 1-star me on Amazon.
Oh,
I
bold
got there.
statement. Wow.
Okay, I'm
Now
feeling
people are just
flushed
gonna
now.
accept your dare. You shouldn't have done
No,
that.
don't 1-star me. Guys, I can't
Don't
take
do
it.
it.
I'll
Don't
cry.
do
I'll
it.
cry.
She was just
No.
speaking off the cuff. Don't do it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so our time's running out, so I'll just think of like some
Yes.
final thoughts here. I would say like gosh, really and one of the most important things that I find that helps me with this is just the realization that how awesome it is to be able to even write and publish. Like
Mhm.
the fact that I can even indie publish and there's no longer, I think, what was it, just like maybe 20 years ago, where it was like the big five publishers and you had to go through all these gatekeepers just to get published. Like we live in this amazing time where like anyone can publish their books, you know. Now that might increase the competition, so you know there's give and take with everything, but just the ability to be able to do that, and if you're a creative person and if you're a storyteller and you have that wonderful ability to do that with computers and Amazon and the internet and just all these amazing tools we have at our disposal, um, like I think all the positives should just sort of safeguard you because you get to explore your gift, you get to present your gift to the world. And, you know, again, while it's not going to please everybody, you can please some people and really lift them up and encourage them and inspire them. And that's like a huge gift to be able to do that. Like, that's amazing. So yeah, I would say just maybe focus on like the gifts you have at your disposal and the time in which you live in which you are able to pursue those gifts. You know, back in the day, what like, oh, I want to be a writer. Son, go tend the farm, you know, go feed the hogs. That's what we have to do today and every day for the rest of your life. Right. I mean, so
Because we
it's
need to
like
eat. Yes.
because we need to eat bacon.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, like so this is awesome, like that we even have this. So I think the joy of it should sort of counterbalance any negatives that we receive, and it should we just should just be able to like just kind of shake all that stuff off and go, you know what? I get to publish books. This is awesome. This is so cool that I get to do this. This day and age that I live in, that I can do this. So I don't know, just like I guess count your blessings. Is that what I'm saying in a
Mhm.
nutshell?
Yeah, I think it's having a mindset of gratitude. And this is
Mm,
something that I say to my readers a lot, usually right after launch time, because I'm feeling introspective and philosophical at those moments, because it's like just launched a book and got through all of that big marketing push and all the things, and it's out there in the world and readers finally get to read it. And something that I say a lot at that stage is like, thank you for being here. It is a
mm,
privilege to tell you
mhm,
stories.
mhm,
It's a privilege that I get to share my weird little imagination with you. Like that, I think I've said previously, I did not even think about telling stories as a real job when I was a kid, even though I was a born storyteller. I've been doing it my entire life, writing stories on scraps of paper since I was a little kid. It did not occur to me that this was a real job. And the fact that I get to work in this industry and that I get to share that weird imagination that I've had since I was a little kid with other people, and that there is anyone out there, let alone several anyones, who does vibe with it, like
Mhm.
that blows my mind.
Yep.
And it is a huge, huge privilege to
Yep.
be able to do that and to use the gifts that God gave us to
Well
be able to
said.
reach people. It's awesome.
Well said. Okay, I can't add anything to that. That just sums it up perfectly. Well, thank you everyone for listening. We hope this episode has been helpful and encouraging to you, and we will see you next time.
Bye.